Let's look at learning objectives B and D. So we're going to talk about how do you write the mean using what's called sigma notation. And then we'll also talk about how do you evaluate sigma notation. So this here is what we call sigma notation, and it's called that because this kind of weird looking E letter is the capital letter in the Greek alphabet of the letter sigma. And it actually represents, in the mathematical world, this means to sum. So when you see this symbol, it means you're going to add. And here's how you read this. You say it like this. You say the sum of the x sub i's as I goes from A to B. So what you're going to do is this sigma symbol means add. The X symbol here just means go to the particular data. So I'm actually going to reference our salaries. Let's call our salaries our X sub i's. So if I see this, again, it's going to say sum all my X's. And I come over here and say, okay, the X's are the salaries because that's what they're labeled as. Then you're going to have to tell it where to start. This I here is very important. And I talk about here it in the index. I is the position of the data. So what, for example, if I said find x sub 2, that would be find the piece of data in the second position. So I'd count 1, 2. So the CEO assistant who makes $35,000 is my x sub 2. You know, if I said find who's in x sub 7, because it's by position, I'm going to go to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th position right here. It's the parts worker who makes $30,000. So in this formula, when you put a number in for I, it means go to the salary at that particular position. Now you have to tell it where to start. So you have to tell it A, this is your starting amount right here. This is where you start. And then B is where you end. So here's what you can do. I can actually do sigma notation to tell somebody to add all of these salaries up without writing a sentence. Here's what it would look like. I would do sigma, which means sum. I'm going to say take all the x sub i's, which is right here. Now here's where I have to tell it where to go. I'm going to say start at the I that's in the first position, who is the CEO. And then at the top here, I tell it what number to stop at. Well, I want to go from position 1 all the way to position 15, so I would write this. This is all you need to have written on the paper to tell someone again to do this. Sum all the x sub i's, or in this case salaries, from the first person up to the 15th. If we wrote this out longhand, what it would look like is this. X sub 1 plus x sub 2 plus x sub 3, and I'm going to go dot, dot, dot. I'm going to continue on, and let's do x sub 14 plus x sub 15. So that would mean x sub 1 is 380,000, the 2 is the 35, the third position is 150, the fourth is 30, and so forth. So let's continue on with sigma notation. What if I wanted you to write sigma notation and tell me to find the average? Well, if you take a look at this formula up here, here's what it says. It says sum all of your x's from 1 to however many you have. So this top half basically says total all your data up. This bottom half says divide by n. Well, n is how many pieces of data you have. So if we go back to the salaries, what we would write again, we would say sum all of our salaries, take the first person up to the 15th. Once you have that total, what do you have to do? Well, you have to divide by how many we had. In this case, 15 employees. Now that's one way to write it, but notice this formula has a second part to it. Well, all they're saying is if you wanted to, instead of having n be on the bottom of the fraction, what you can do is you can pull this out. So this 15 here can actually come out, and what I would write, I'll put over here. I would do 1 over 15, and then I would times it by the sigma notation which says add from 1 to 15. This formula here and this one here mean exactly the same thing. Now, let's look at an application of it. Example 2 here says, a full parking lot has 46 cars. Let P sub I stand for the number of people who rode in the ith car. So let me just write this down for a sec. P sub 3 would be the number of people who are in the third car. Okay. P sub 5, the number of people in the fifth car. Okay. So here's what they want to know. They're asking us, what does the sigma notation mean? It says sum all the P sub i's from 1 to 46. So what that represents is the total number of people in all 46 cars. Okay. They want us now to use sigma notation to find the mean number of people per car. Okay, fine. So again, they're going to say, they're going to come in and sum all the people from 1 to 46 people per car. So that's what P sub I. Okay. So this total right here tells me they've added up they looked at all the people in all 46 cars and added them up. Once you have that, what do? Well, you divide by 46 cars, and that will tell you the number of people per car.